What if a video game felt like a dystopian dream you couldn't wake up from? A world where every hallway, every street, and every sound leaves you kind of unsettled. Not because of monsters or jump scares, but because everything feels too real and, at the same time, too strange, all at once. That's the power of Neyasnoe. It isn't just another indie experiment. It's a playable dream, a haunting vision of Eastern European melancholy, and one of the most intense atmospheres I've ever experienced in a game. In this video, I would like to take a deep dive into this unique atmosphere, exploring on how its dreamlike world is built. At first glance, Neyasnoe doesn't look like much. There's no flashy combat system, no elaborate mechanics, no clear objective spelled out for you as the player. Instead, what you get is something harder to describe. A short but gripping journey into a dense world. You don't play Neyasnoe for challenge or reward. You play it to wander through its dreamlike spaces and to let its strange rhythm pull you in. It achieves so much with so little effort, basically functioning as a walking simulator through a Lynch-esque, melancholic dreamland. The first thing that stands out is how Neyasnoe treats its space. Rooms connect in ways that shouldn't be possible. Familiar places are twisted just enough to feel alien and a bit off. A staircase that looks normal leads somewhere it shouldn't. A door opens into a location that makes no sense. The more you try to understand the logic behind how the world is set up, the less sense it makes. That's because Neyasnoe is built on dream logic, a way of structuring the world that mimics the fluid, impossible geography of actual dreams. Of course, I'm not talking about weirdness in a dread illusion or Death Stranding larger-than-life concept kind of way. In Neyasnoe, every environment feels like a déjà vu. You've seen it before, maybe in real life or maybe only in a dream. And just like in dreams, the meaning isn't clear. The strangeness and uneasiness of the places is the point of the game. In that sense, Neyasnoe for me has a lot in common with surrealist art of film. In a way, it feels like walking through a David Lynch sequence, or wandering through a landscape in a Tarkovsky movie. But this whole setup doesn't feel random, just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. No, there's cultural weight to it. The game is soaked in a kind of distinctly Eastern European atmosphere. The blocky outlines of Soviet-style architecture, the sense of urban decay, the emptiness of the streets that feel both lived in and abandoned at the same time. The outfits of the people you can meet, the signage on the different buildings you can encounter, and of course, a red with white trainers. Even the sound design feeds into this aesthetic. Muted voices, distant industrial hums, the echo of something happening just out of sight. Of course, the soundtrack, which emphasizes the whole setting, is absolutely brilliant in my opinion. If you're a big fan of trance, go listen to it. Since trance is quite big in the German club scene right now, since a couple of years actually, that soundtrack is definitely something I can imagine being played there. The game feels haunted, but not by ghosts. Haunted by memory, haunted by history, haunted by the everyday trauma of life in spaces that feel familiar, but also broken. This puts Neyasnoe in the same tradition as games like Pathologic or Stalker. Games that feel shaped by the landscapes and cultural scars of the places they come from.
Pum 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 pum.
But Neyasnoe doesn't just fragment its world, it fragments you, the player. There's no real narrative to follow. Instead, you get fragments, impressions, moments that don't add up to a conventional story. You never fully know who you are or why you're even here. There's no leveling or even a simple progression mechanic. That disorientation isn't the flaw, it's the design. By denying you a stable identity, the game puts you in the mindset of someone already lost inside this dystopian dream. Instead of telling you a complex story, Neyasnoe makes you live through the feelings and emotions a lot of people in their 20s and 30s have to deal with. Drifting, confused, searching for meaning where there may not be any.
На улице чужого города. Сосед всю ночь брехал. Какую красивую жизнь ты мне дал. По улице волочатся ангелы с колясками. Ветер колышет их ситцы. У девочек глаза совсем не такие, как у мальчиков. В их бесконечной глубине, в их скребущей душу синеве, я вижу только осень, душа.
And this is why, for me, Neyasnoe stands out in the indie space. It doesn't care about traditional mechanics. The game is stripped down to the essentials. Move, look, listen, sometimes interact. But that simplicity isn't laziness, it's intended. By removing distractions, Neyasnoe forces you to focus entirely on its atmosphere, its aesthetic, and the people living inside this dystopian Soviet landscape. The atmosphere is the gameplay. The goal isn't to win, it's to wander, to feel that unease growing with every step, to realize that in Neyasnoe the world itself is the main character, and you just happen to live in it for a short period of time. So what does it feel like to actually play Neyasnoe? It's hypnotic. It lingers in your head even after you've closed it. And that's what makes it powerful. Most games end when you shut them off. Neyasnoe doesn't. It hangs in the back of your mind like a dream you can fully remember. Fragments of places, textures, sounds, emotions. When talking about the player perspective, I have to mention one unique mechanic, which I've never seen implemented that way. The drunk mechanic. When drinking beer, your player is getting out of control. Every move feels unwanted. Like the game wants to tell you that it has you under control and not vice versa. Neyasnoe isn't for everyone. It's confusing, sometimes even uncomfortable. But that's exactly what makes it so interesting for me. It captures the feeling of being trapped in a dream you can't control, wandering through spaces that feel at once intimate and alien, oppressive and strangely beautiful. It creates a dystopian, Soviet-like aesthetic and combines it with the struggles of loneliness, feeling lost, and empty at the same time, which cannot be found in any other game. And in that way, it proves what indie games do best, creating experiences that don't need to explain themselves, because you feel them long after you've stopped playing.
Знаешь, жизнь так быстро летит. Ты, главное, о будущем не думай, и все получится. Давай, удачи.
Thank you very much for watching the video this far. I'm planning on creating more videos in the future on other strange and atmospheric indie titles. I also mentioned a title in this video. Maybe you can figure out which one that is that I want to cover in the future. And yeah, if you like this type of content, you can of course subscribe, would appreciate it very much. And see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.